joy that's so clear. Still works.
Seeing with 2020 Spiritual Vision is the CSL theme for 2020. March's theme is honoring the divine feminine in all. Today's topic, the law as womb. Dr. Ernest Holmes wrote in the Science of Mind text glossary, the feminine principle is the universal soul. In the human, it is subjective or subconscious intelligence. The universal medium or soul has been called the womb of nature and the Holy Mother because it is receptive to the Spirit and it is impregnated with divine ideas. And also from the Science of Mind text, good never compromises with its opposite. The one practicing must be able to look a fact in the face and know that all manifestations are effects and can be changed by changing the mental cause. We must continually remind ourselves of the power of the word and of our ability to use it. We must know that truth produces freedom because truth is freedom. Our work will best be done in quiet expectancy and in calm confidence. The results rest in the eternal law of good. Let us speak this truth together with conviction.
The divine feminine is in perfect balance with the divine masculine in me. And I see the Spirit shining in all beings across the gender continuum. Thank you, Peggy. So I stand here in absolute gratitude that in times like these, no matter what's going on in the world, that I have a deep knowing that we live in a spiritual universe that is based in love, the ever-givingness of the Spirit to its creation, and that this universe is governed by eternal law, an eternal law of good that is always supporting us. And so one of my favorite go-tos whenever I notice myself getting pulled by what's going on in the world in the way that I don't want to go, is I go back to this beautiful phrase that we often hear in our teaching. There is one life, that life is God. That life is perfect, and that life is my life now. It's actually the life of all beings everywhere. And so when I have this deep knowing and this deep awareness of what God is the presence of love and peace and all possibility and all potentiality, and that my word is creative because I am a microcosm of the macrocosm. I am a child of the Most High. I am aware then that my body starts calming down. My mind calms down first because it's focusing on truth, and then my body calms down. And so a calm attitude then is the fertile ground for guidance that will guide me always in the direction of my highest good and safety and peace and healing. So moving to this higher action of thought is something in this teaching that we call spiritual mind treatment. It's a form of affirmative prayer in which we remind ourselves of the nature of God to the greatest of our ability, that nature which is love and omnipresence and omnipotence and omniscience, which is peace and harmony. And then, from that point in spiritual mind treatment or affirmative prayer, we remind ourselves that we are that presence individualized. In other words, the totality of the all that is, because it's invisible, is in the midst of us as our very own being, available to us as inspiration, as guidance, and as law. So we are truly putting on what is called the mind of Christ, or the consciousness of the Buddha. Just to sort of make it more expansive and include other traditions as well. It is attaining spiritual realization. It is attaining that mystic consciousness, oneness consciousness, love consciousness, or sometimes called God consciousness. From this place, we realize that we are co-creators, full participants with the Most High. And that in scientific terms, let's put it in scientific terms, I love that, is that when we remind ourselves of this truth, we turn off the stress response, which we know plays havoc with our immune system, and we turn on the relaxation response, which we know boosts immunity. So we have scientific backing for what we're doing as well. So we can look at this on a lot of different levels. But I just know that my knowing of this truth in times of challenge brings me back to that state of relaxation and peace in which all guidance and all possibility and all potentiality and healing is available to me. So as an individualization of God, realizing that truth about myself, I realize that I'm not a helpless bystander, that I am a powerful participator in finding solution and dissolving this epidemic back into the nothingness from which it came. And I can do this, we can all do this, by keeping our thought aligned with higher truth and not allowing ourselves to be caught up in the contagion of fear that is perpetuated when we keep listening to the media. So, with this in mind, today what I wanted to do was to focus on the creative process. And of course, we're talking about the feminine principle. And that together with the masculine principle, now this is true in all of us. It has nothing to do with gender. It's the dual nature of the creative process within us. There's the masculine, and the masculine is the creator aspect of us. It's our conscious mind. It's our ability to choose our thoughts, to choose our, what goes through our minds, to stand guard at our minds and not allow a lot of negativity to feed our minds. Because when we realize this, when we realize that we have this ability to shift consciousness and to keep it on things that uplift us, that's a very powerful thing. But today my focus is on the feminine principle and how it works, because that is essential. Understanding this is essential for us to really move through these times with ease and grace, so that we can look back on it sometime shortly and say, oh, this too has passed. We're on the other side. And I also want to cover how to bring greater ease and grace into our lives by applying the feminine principle. So the feminine principle, let's go back some 25,000 years ago. Well, actually more than that. This is 25,000 BC. Scientists, when they studied artifacts that were left over, discovered that the early humans, in their imagination, imagined a sacred, invisible umbilical cord that connects all of us to the very womb or the Divine Mother itself. And realizing that this womb or Divine Mother gives birth to all life. So that was in the awareness of the very early people. This is an excerpt that's from an article I found online by Yogendra Nath Yogi. And so this concept of the Divine Mother, the womb of life, in our teaching is explained in this way within us, as a principle within us as well as all around us. We call it the universal law of mind, the soul, or the subconscious mind. And And so, using the analogy of the Divine Mother within us, the law or soul, receives the unborn child of our deepest desires and gives birth to them without question. So our job then is to cooperate with the law, the universal law that's already there. And you can also think of this as just the energy field, the energy that surrounds us, the unmanifest energy that takes form according to where we place our focus, what our thoughts are, and ideas are, where we give our attention. You see now why it's so important not to give so much attention to what's in the media that's upsetting. But in order to give more attention, get out your sacred books, get out your Science of Mind magazine, get out your Science of Mind text, the Bible, all of these sacred texts, and fill yourselves with higher truth. So that's our job of cooperating with the law. And so whatever we are willing to give our whole thought to is what we seed this Divine Mother within us, or this universal law or subconscious mind with. The Divine Feminine Principle then is pure creative power, omnipotent power. And it's not some power, it's all power. Every time we think, we're using the all power of the universal mind because it's non-local. It's not just localized where we are. It's one of those things that at another level is everywhere. So this feminine principle then, the subconscious mind, has no will of its own and is always acting as a passive receptor of the mental impressions of our desires, which it then turns into imagination. You know, our imagination gets kicked in. And that imagined reality we call a mental equivalent or a spiritual prototype. And it's a living thing. It's energy. It's a living thing. And it has a frequency to it. And so that's why, we talk about, using creative imagination and that kind of thing. It has a frequency. It's a living thing. And it is implanted in this universal law as we are imagining it. And it therefore changes the appearance of our outer world and our inner experience. And our outer world, by law, must correspond to our inner world. That's why it's important that we take good care of our inner world, our thoughts, our beliefs, what we focus on. So the subconscious mind, or the Divine Mother, the feminine principle within, is continuously being programmed by the conscious mind to produce our current experience of reality. So, again, watching too much violence on TV, watching too much about the coronavirus, only feeds the body, the subconscious mind, with fear. And instead, I invite all of us to, and I'm not saying you shouldn't know what's going on, but what I'm saying is when you do get information, think of it, this is the high watch that we want to keep. Think of it as a prayer request. It's an opportunity to know the opposite of what's happening, to know that God is health, that as a child of God I do not inherit disease. I inherit health because God is health and God is my source. And God is, as my source, is within me as well as all around me. So rather than get caught up then in the contagion of fear, which are effects of previous thinking of all of humanity, we can become the ones who seed consciousness, and because we're all tied into that collective consciousness, we can begin to start seeding human consciousness with higher ideas and be a beneficial presence, be the transforming power for what is going on. And believe me, there are many others who are in the process of doing this all over the country in our different spiritual traditions. It's not just us, and in other religions across the world. Those who also dedicate themselves to meditating on peace or on health. All the different world religions. So I'd like us to imagine ourselves not just by ourselves doing this work, but joining with others across the planet who come from a more enlightened consciousness and understand how this works. So we work then in the realm of cause. We plant new seeds in the creative medium. And the law then, like a womb, simply receives our fertile ideas and is compelled to give birth to them. Our role is to allow it to happen. So more applications then for the divine principle, the divine feminine principle. Being receptive, patient, and trusting is how we embody this divine principle in our lives. So how difficult is it for you to receive, to slow down, and to relax? And I'm asking myself that in this moment as well. How trusting are you of the universe that what you need is continuously being provided? And that means guidance as well, that guides you into right action. How patient are you with the process of creation? And how many of us, even women, men and women both, have been socialized to value action and busyness as a strength, and receptivity and inaction as a weakness? See, that's where I think our main difficulty lies, is we don't understand the importance of balance between action and inaction. Inaction, the time that we reflect and meditate and do our visioning process and prayer, which we call spiritual mind treatment. This misunderstanding has led to a lot of stress, and we know when there's stress, our immune systems are compromised. So as we begin to embrace this divine feminine aspect of ourselves and relax, life just gets so much better. With Delaware being declared in a state of emergency, many of us are sequestering ourselves in our homes in the coming weeks. And actually, after this week, I'll be doing a broadcast from my home, and we won't be holding it here because the Center for Creative Arts is closing. But we'll continue on with our services on Sundays from my home. So what if we use this time to develop that feminine principle side of us? What if we all just agreed to do that? And that means give ourselves plenty of time in spiritual practice, to meditate, to pray, to read spiritual, to do spiritual study, and to practice faith and trust and patience. Because ultimately, balance in our lives is strength. It's strength. So here's some ways to practice. What do you choose? Do you choose forcing or allowing? When we're always searching for answers, trying to force things to happen, our focus is on lack of what we don't have. Our focus is on what's missing instead of what we do have. However, if we learn to breathe, relax, and allow guidance to come to us, we will receive it. And in addition to that, in addition to ideas and so on, people and situations are attracted to us that support the flow of good in our lives. In other words, there's this divine orchestration by the Divine Mother aspect of us that's going on the whole time to support the unfoldment of our lives. And here's the thing to remember, and this is where patience comes in, is that things unfold in divine perfect timing. I've seen this happen in my life over and over again, how at the divine perfect time, for instance, our children's program burst into being with plenty of teachers that were willing to dedicate themselves to it. And it was a matter of divine timing and not forcing it. So when we try to force things to happen in our lives, delays to the flow of our good take place. things that are supposed to flow to us. And so here's one of the indicators. When we notice that we're spinning our wheels, that we're kind of stuck, that means that we are in resistance to the natural flow of life. We're trying to unnaturally force it to happen. Stress, frustration, anger, and depression are all signs that we are fighting against life. So the present is where all things exist. It's kind of hard for us when we are used to looking at things with viewing life with our five senses. But there is a non-local reality, an invisible reality, in which all possibility exists, right here, right now, in this moment. And our access point then is in the here and now, bringing our attention to the now, the attention into our bodies, the attention into this present moment, into being present with each other. And everything has a vibrational frequency, as I mentioned before. So if we truly want to invite our good into our lives, then we want to stay in the high frequencies of gratitude and love, all those what we call positive thoughts, positive feelings. And if we notice ourselves being upset, we are vibrating at negative frequencies, and we are literally repelling. There's the law of repulsion, too, repelling our good. So in order to draw the joy and the good that we crave, we cannot be stressed out today if we desire a better tomorrow. It's got to happen now. So it's about choosing happiness now. What do you choose, fearing or trusting? When we receive the news like the coronavirus, do you react by assuming the worst? That's fear. Or do you respond with truth? Only good can come from this. That's been my mantra with all of this. Only good can come from this. Because when we start searching for the good, all the possibilities that can come from this, then we are part of the solution. As soon as you go to a low fear-based vibration, you attract what you don't want and you repel the solution. This is the same message over and over, but I'm trusting that by my repeating it, we will get it. So I see challenges then as evolutionary drivers. They are calling forth in us a higher version of ourselves, because we can't go on, we can't actually solve the problem at the same consciousness that created the problem. We absolutely must arise. So if we realize that challenges like these that are going on in this day and age are an impetus for us to go within, this is exercising the feminine principle, go within, up-level our consciousness with higher truth, then we become part of the solution that will really transform our world. And what is that consciousness? It's very simple, oneness consciousness. The realization of our interconnectedness, the realization that love is the answer, not fear. And that perfect love does cast out all fear. I'm noticing already that there are scientists and doctors who are working on their own to collaborate with other countries to find solutions. This is an example of what happens when we keep our eyes on solution and on truth. So when we choose to trust that there is a solution, we relax, we allow, and we receive guidance. Trust in the process that all things naturally work themselves out, and you will be that beneficial presence. So our call to action then is to cease forcing things to happen. Cease so much busyness and stop fearing the worst, but instead fill ourselves with truth. So as we trust and as we allow, we are a powerful vibrant presence in the world. And in the work of Dr. David Hawkins, Power versus Force, he very clearly says that one person in this field of love can counteract hundreds of thousands of people who are in a state of fear. So love is really a powerful vibration. So it takes strength to be still and to know truth. And yet that is our highest use of the creative power. So I'd like us to turn within in prayer and really anchor this in for ourselves by knowing that there is only one life. That life is God, Mother, Father, God. That life is our life right here and right now. Perfect, whole, complete. And just as God is health, we are health, so we do not inherit illness. We do not inherit disease. We inherit health. Our body, minds, our entire being is designed to maintain and sustain health. And we know that right here and right now, all the way down into the very core of our being. I'm knowing that in this moment we rise to the occasion and we hold the high watch for the rest of the world. That we are here to be a beneficial presence. That we are here to be the light of the world. And we do that as we continue to remind ourselves of the truth, to know the truth about each other, to know that all the health workers are surrounded by the light of divine love and protection, knowing that humanity is also surrounded in this light and love of God, knowing that everyone who is on the front lines, everybody who is in the in positions of decision making that affect the entire planet are illuminated by divine wisdom, by divine peace and calm. I know that in this very moment we are that power of love and healing that transforms this entire shared consciousness that we have on this planet, right here, right now, in this moment, because we hold the vibration of love. We hold the vibration of gratitude. We hold the vibration of peace. And I know that as we trust, as we have patience, as we understand the action, the all-powerful action of the Divine Mother within us, that subconscious mind, that field of creativity, of creative power, and creative medium that surrounds us, as we understand that it is continuously being seeded by our thoughts, and we seed it with higher truth, we seed it with optimism, I know that all truly unfolds in the divine perfect way and absolutely under grace, with a reminder that, yes, in this moment, a powerful shift in human consciousness is taking place. So I give my thanks for the manifestation of this word. I give my thanks for our alignment with higher truth. And I release this word into the universal law of mind and invite us all to say together, yes, and so it is. All right. Thank you, everybody.